There's a very specific kind of anxiety that not many people talk about. The moment when you're walking through a mall, a cafe, a supermarket, and suddenly, you spot someone you know. Not someone you dislike. Not someone who hurt you. Just someone familiar. And your whole body tenses. Your mind starts racing. Your chest tightens. Your eyes look anywhere except at them. And without thinking, you quietly change direction, pretend to check your phone, or suddenly become very interested in a shelf you don't even care about. You're not rude. You're not unfriendly. You're not antisocial. You're just uncomfortable. And the world doesn't always understand that. So today, let's talk about that feeling. Why some people get anxious or uneasy when they run into someone they know. Why they'd rather avoid the situation. And why none of this means they're bad, unfriendly, or broken. Because the psychology behind it is deeper and much more human than most people realize. For many people, social interactions require mental preparation. They need time to warm up, to get emotionally ready, to switch into social mode. And when a familiar person appears unexpectedly in public, it's like being pushed into a scene without a script. No warning, no preparation, just sudden pressure. In psychology, we call this emotional demand, the sudden expectation to perform socially. Even if the interaction is small, just a hello or a smile, the pressure feels real. It's not that they don't want to talk. It's that they didn't prepare to talk. And for some minds, that preparation matters more than people think. There's also something called self-monitoring, the mental process of adjusting your behavior to fit the situation. Some people do this naturally without effort. But others use a lot of emotional energy to perform socially. Being friendly, being polite, being present. These things are natural for some, but draining for others. So when they unexpectedly meet someone they know, it's not dislike, and it's not avoidance of the person. It's the fear of spending energy they don't have at that moment. They're simply not in the emotional space to be on. Another psychological layer is social perfectionism. Some people feel pressure to look okay, sound okay, be okay, every time they interact with someone they know. It's not vanity. It's insecurity. They worry. What if I look tired? What if I say something awkward? What if they think I'm rude? What if I can't hold the conversation? These thoughts happen in a matter of seconds. And when the anxiety becomes stronger than the desire to say hello, they choose the safest option, avoidance. Not because they don't care, but because the moment feels too heavy. But the deepest reason, for many people, is this. Public spaces feel like a break from social identity. When they're outside alone, walking, shopping, eating, they finally get to rest from being someone. Not a friend, not a coworker, not a relative, not a version of themselves that others expect. Just themselves. Quiet, neutral, free. And seeing someone they know feels like that break is being interrupted. Suddenly, they're pulled back into a role, a version of themselves they didn't come prepared to play. It's not the person they're avoiding. It's the shift they're avoiding. The sudden switch from internal world to social world. There's also something tender and vulnerable about this type of person. They are often observers, deep thinkers, quiet feelers. People who feel energy intensely. People who get easily overwhelmed, not because they're weak, but because they're sensitive and emotionally aware. Crowds drain them. Small talk drains them. Unexpected interactions drain them. So avoiding familiar faces becomes their way of protecting emotional space. Not because they're unfriendly, but because they're carrying too much inside already. And here's something many people won't admit out loud. Some people worry about disappointing others. They fear they won't be enough in that moment. Not funny enough. Not cheerful enough. Not sociable enough. Not in the right mood. So they avoid the interaction to avoid disappointing someone they care about. Or disappointing themselves. This isn't selfishness. This is self-protection. If you've ever walked quickly away from someone you knew, or pretended not to see them, or felt your heart race when someone calls your name in public, it doesn't mean you're strange. It means you're human. with emotions that deserve understanding, not shame. The truth is, people who feel this way are often the most caring. They think deeply. They feel deeply. They worry about how they impact others. They don't want to be rude. They just want to be comfortable. Emotionally, mentally, energetically. And sometimes comfort means choosing silence instead of conversation. But here's the comforting part. Being this way doesn't make you less social or less kind. It simply means your social battery works differently. You prefer intentional conversations, not accidental ones. You need emotional readiness, not surprise interactions. You open up best when you feel safe, not rushed. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong way to be human. Social ease is not a measure of goodness. Avoidance does not mean disrespect. Quietness is not rejection. It is simply your mind choosing the environment where it can breathe. So the next time you avoid someone in public, don't be too hard on yourself. You're not rude. You're not antisocial. You're protecting your emotional space. And that's something everyone deserves. The world doesn't have to understand you for you to understand yourself. And maybe the more kindness you give yourself, the easier these moments will feel. Not because the anxiety disappears, but because you finally stop judging yourself for having it. Speech balloon, are you like this too? Do you feel uncomfortable greeting someone you know in public, even when you genuinely like them? Do you sometimes walk another way just to avoid the pressure to talk? If so, share your experience in the comments. You're not alone, and your feelings make sense more than you realize. Sometimes protecting your peace is the bravest thing you can do.